Hello, this is Ariadne Rainbird with number 6 in my series of presentations on Dionysos in the Orphic hymns. So the hymn that I'm going to be talking about today is hymn number 50, the hymn to Lysios Lenaios. Lysios means deliverer or redeemer, whilst Lenaia means of the winepress. Thus, the title of this hymn may be translated as To the Redeemer of the Winepress, or as To the Redeeming God of the Winepress. This may refer to the redeeming and liberating power of wine. There was a temple and sanctuary of Dionysos Lysios in Thebes, which was one of the main cult centres of Dionysos. Thebes was important in the cult of Dionysos, as it is the city-state founded by Cadmus and in which the house of Cadmus was situated, and therefore the place of Dionysus' birth to Semele when she was consumed by Zeus' divine fire. Semele's tomb was also said to be in Thebes. It is also the setting of Euripides' play The Bacchae, where Pentheus, grandson of Cadmus and Harmonia, through their daughter Agave, is then king of Thebes and tries to put a stop to the cult of Dionysos. The 2nd century CE writer Pausanias describes the founding of Thebes by Cadmus in his book The Description of Greece. He describes how Cadmus married Harmonia, the daughter of Ares and Aphrodite, and that their daughter Semele had a child by Zeus, whilst their daughter Ino became a divinity of the sea. Their other daughter, Agave, married a Spartan, Echion, who was the father of Pentheus. Pausanias describes Pentheus as a man of insolent character who had shown impiety to Dionysos. He was punished by the god. Pausanias goes on to describe the temple of Dionysos Lysios. Near the Protudian gate is built a theatre, and quite close to the theatre is a temple of Dionysos, surnamed the Deliverer. For when some Theban prisoners in the hands of the Thracians had reached Haliarta on their march, they were delivered by the god, who gave up the sleeping Thracians to be put to death. One of the two images here the Thebans say is Semele. Once in each year, they say, they open the sanctuary on stated days. There are also ruins of the house of Lycus and the tomb of Semele. This is from Pausanias 9:16-6-7. Pausanias thus suggests that the title Lysios refers to Dionysos liberating Theban prisoners and saving them from death at the hands of the Thracians. The second epithet, Lenaios, however, would suggest that his role as redeemer is related to his role as god of wine. Wine is the gift that Dionysos gives to mortals, and the drink through which participants in the Bacchic rite are able to enter a state of ecstatic release. Dionysos is often depicted crowned with vine leaves and bunches of grapes, or holding a vessel of wine. The wine he gives is also symbolic of the spiritual power of transformation. Lenaios is also the name of a rustic god, a Selon, or son of Silenos, who is the god of grape treading and the dance of the wine trough, or Lenes. According to the theoi.com website, Lenaios was probably the father of the Lenai, the satyr-like wine-making daemons in the retinue of the god Dionysos. There's no particular incense recommended for this hymn, but incenses which conjure up a sense of joyfulness and fertility would be suitable. I'm now going to recite the Orphic hymn to Dionysos as best I can, firstly in the ancient Greek, and then I will recite the Thomas Taylor translation in English. Again, I'm not fluent in ancient Greek, so if anyone watching this video is fluent, please excuse any mistakes I make in the pronunciation. Lysios Lenaios, Klethi Maka Theos I, Epelini Vache Themato, Sperma Polymni Ston, Polyonymi, Lysii, Daimon, Krypsigonon, Makaron, Ieron Thalos, Evie Vache, Evtrephes, Evkape, Polygithea, Eolomorphe, Pavziponon, Thnetisi, Phaniis, Akos, Hieron Anthos, Karma, Phrotis, Philalipon, Epaphii, Kaliatheira, Lysii, Theosomanes, Vromi, Evi, Passin, Ephron, Is Etheles, Thniston, Eth, Athanaton, Epiphavskon, Nin Sekalo, Polyin, Ithin, Pherekapon. To Lysios Lenaios, a hymn. Hear me, Zeus' son, blessed Vakos, god of wine, born of two mothers, honoured and divine. Lysion, Evion, Vakos, various named, of gods the offspring, secret, holy, famed. Fertile and nourishing, whose liberal care earth's fruits increases, flourishing and fair. Sounding, magnanimous, Lenaian power, of various formed medicinal holy flower. Mortals in thee repose from labour find, delightful charm, desired by all mankind. Fair-haired, Evian, Bromion, joyful god, Lycian, invested with the leafy rod. To these our rites benignant power incline, when favouring men or when on gods you shine. Be present to thy mystic suppliants' prayer, rejoicing come, and fruits abundant bear. This hymn refers to Dionysos as born of two mothers, referring to his birth to Persephone and to Semele. He is also presented within the context of the harvest festival, the Epilenia or Lenaea, a festival held in his honour at the end of the grape harvest. In line 1, he is called Epilenia Vacae, Bacchus of the grape harvest, corresponding to his epithet in the title of the hymn. Line 3 refers to the cry of Evoe with the form Evi Vacae, suggesting the use of this cry at the harvest festival, but also creating an alliteration and anaphora or phonetic play with the beginning Ev of the two epithets that immediately follow. Evi Vacae, Evterephes, Evkape. In line 4, he is said to grow the fruit that gives much joy. The same epithet, Polygithis, who gives much joy, is given to Dionysos himself in hymn 44 to Semele and in hymn 75 to Palamon. In hymn 50, when this epithet is applied to Vakos, it is referring to human worries vanishing, thanks to the intoxication produced by wine, but in a mystic sense due to the transformative powers of the spiritual currents he brings. In lines 6 to 7, the god is called medicinal holy flower, more literally, sacred flower that appears to mortals as a joy free from worries. Hieron Anthos, Chama Phrotis Philalipon. This hymn features the epithet Lenaios twice, in the title Lysios Lenaios and in line 5, in the Greek Lenai. Both times it appears accompanied by epithets that reflect Dionysos' chthonic character and his connection with fertility. In the case of the title, Lysios in Orphic eschatology relates to his role as saviour, whilst in line 5 it is preceded by the epithets Evkape, Polygithea, Karpon, Aexon, Rixikthon, the first two of which refer to the fruit of the vine, and the last may reflect both the emergence of Dionysos from the underworld and the moment in which a plant sprouts after germinating underground. Fertility is closely linked to the chthonic gods, a connection which is again supported by the use of the epithet Lenaios in hymn 52 to Trietericus, where it is used to describe Dionysos when he returns from the underworld, emerging from the interior of the earth like a sprouting plant. In Orphismos, chthonic refers not to a place beneath the earth, but means of the earth. The chthonic gods then rule all that is mortal, all that lives and dies, and all that grows. Dionysos is also described as Vromion, Vromi in the Greek, meaning resounding and referring to the noise of the Bacchic revels. Dionysos is given a similar epithet in hymn number 30, Erythromos, and again in hymn number 45. And in the Orphic hymn to Demeter, hymn 40, Demeter is described as the companion of Vromios. Dionysos is linked with Demeter and the Eleusinian mysteries in several of the hymns, partially because in the Orphic myth he is the son of Persephone, Demeter's daughter, but also because just as Demeter introduces the cultivated grain to mankind, so Dionysos introduces the cultivated vine, again reflecting the relationship of the chthonic deities with fertility. In the Bacchae, Euripides has Tiresias tell us, "Two things are first among men. The goddess Demeter, she is the earth, but call her whatever name you wish. She nourishes mortals with dry food. But he who came afterwards, the offspring of Semele, discovered a match to it, the liquid drink of the grape, and introduced it to mortals. It releases wretched mortals from grief whenever they are filled with the stream of the vine, and gives them sleep, a means of forgetting their daily troubles. Nor is there another cure for hardships. He who is a god is poured out in offerings to the gods, so that by his means men may have good things." This is from the Bacchae 275 to 285. Thus the importance of the grain and the wine, not only in the mysteries but in the lives of mortals, is stressed. Dionysos is the god who gives us the liberating wine, which in Orphic thought is also the wine ether of Zeus, the divine power which can lead to spiritual liberation. In hymn 50 to Lysios Lenaios, Dionysos is described as the bromion, joyful god, Lysion, invested with the leafy rod, the thyrsus. In the Greek, Theosomanes, Vromi, Evii, describing a Bacchic revelry in which the thyrsus is carried, with the ritual cry of Evoe. Thomas Taylor says that Lysios Vakos is the Gnostic power of Venus, with the muse Erato being the vivifying power, perhaps due to the emphasis on joy and fertility in this hymn. I hope you've enjoyed this video and have found it informative. And if you have enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe to my channel to ensure that you receive notifications of future videos and particularly the rest of this series of videos on the Orphic hymns to Dionysos. Thank you for watching.